right, we are the Out of Bounds Show. Mississippi State 24, Arizona State 20, and biggest win in a few years. Starkville, Mississippi, they burned it down on Saturday night and stormed the field. I'm going to ask our next guest, even counting 2014 and some other games since then, but since they bowled the stadium in that end zone, and that's where they put the students, which started in the first season was 2014. I'm not sure I've heard it that loud, even on the A&M Auburn run and all the things that happened back then. But Dogs with the monster win over Arizona State. And the show is brought to you by Cover Source Solutions. Cover Source Solutions, locally owned, Mississippi grown. For HVAC and plumbing, one call for residential and commercial. CoverSourceSolutions.com. They hire the best, so you get the best. The show is powered by Cover Source Solutions for air conditioning and plumbing service. CoverSourceSolutions.com. We'll go to 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We'll welcome in Steve Robertson, Gene's Page, 247 Sports. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Steve, are your ears still ringing?
Well, I've got, was it tinnitus, I guess, from all these years of listening to Ozzy Osbourne at high volume, so I'm somewhat immune to that. But yeah, I mean, it's been an eventful couple of days, man. I mean, not a lot of rest, but, man, the city was restless, and Mississippi State fans needed something to really feel good about. I mean, you make such an emotional investment in all of this, and got out of the press box a little before 1 o'clock, and coming downtown, usually it's, riding down 12 late at night, it's usually kind of a ghost town. Man, it was like noon. I mean, there were cars everywhere. You couldn't get any fast food. I mean, it was just ridiculous, but a wonderful type of ridiculousness because, these I think about these students a lot, because I got kids their age, but it's one of those things that they kind of had their first big moment like that. I mean, I guess it's when we had Rusty Fields in 04, beat Florida,
right?
I guess. So,
yeah.
I wrote about that yesterday. Those celebration pictures need a frame and not just a post on your Instagram account.
Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show. Mississippi State takes down Arizona State. First big win in a while, as Steve said. So we got to give a game ball to the student section, okay, Steve, as you just referenced. And you're right. I mean, my son's a junior there, and they haven't had a big win in football, and they got that big win, and I think that means all the difference to those classes. Who would be your first game ball? Who would you give it to, player or coach?
Yeah, it's a really good question. Obviously, I think you got to go Brennan Thompson. I mean, he's a guy that had 23 career catches in 3 years, and he is now kind of emerging as the maybe perhaps identity of this offense. Anthony Evans has done some good things. We talk about fluff, but I don't know if we really appreciated how impactful Brennan Thompson would be when we got him, and certainly in the summer. We thought he'd be a contributor, but he's getting a lot of love. There's a lot of people around the SEC that didn't know who he was on Friday, didn't know who he is today, and that kid in the open field, I mean, anybody that can run him down deserves an Olympic gold medal. I mean, he gets really, really fast with the football in his hands. And, Levy needs those receivers that can score from long, as he said last year. And they did some of that Saturday night. But Brennan Thompson, I think, is probably the guy I would look at and say, you know what? This guy's been a difference maker.
Yeah. What about they start off 17-0, as you know, and they dominated the first half up until the field goal going into halftime. Arizona State, give them credit. They get the ball, start the second half. They roll all during the second half. And the defense was left out on the field all during the second half, as you know. Talk about the goal line stand and how right there in the student section, everything's on the line. Walk me through what you saw and the electricity in the stadium on the goal line stand.
Well, they were absolutely fatigued, and part of me, I wondered, maybe it wouldn't be better to let them score. Even though the State's offense had been somewhat anemic in the second half, and a lot of that was self-inflicted. To give Arizona State some credit, but State did make some mistakes. You had a couple drops and a couple bad reads in the run game, but that tackle by Diego Brumfield. I mean, as Raleek Brown is kind of breaking through for what looked like your go-ahead touchdown, you get the tackle there, and then from there, Arizona State, I think, runs 3 plays and gets 2 yards, and Nick Mitchell runs through there on that 3rd and goal play. Didn't make the tackle, but he stood Odu up, and next thing you know, you're kind of cleaning it up. And I think if you go back and look at that clip, DJ Reed nearly got that ball out right at the 1 yard line. It's pretty crazy looking at the film review last night, but I didn't expect it. And I think one of the reasons that people are so exuberant because of what happened in that final minute is because that does not typically happen to Mississippi State. But how many times have you seen it, Bo, where State gets a 2 to 3 score lead and then somehow loses the football game? And there were a lot of people, you could just kind of sense some tension. It's like, you know what, well, here we go again. And in that moment, when you held them to a field goal, you think, okay, we've got a chance. As improbable as it may be, we had a chance. And then Blake Shapen, of course, Levy calls a great play.
He did.
The action led to a bust. And I've read some people out there is lucky. They really just had a bust in the secondary. That's what good offensive play calling does for you. When you give good execution, you create those opportunities. Mississippi State did and cashed in. But I think it's a surreal feeling because it's just not something that ordinarily happens to Mississippi State.
Well, and the way they won, they became the talk of the town in college football late at night, which is something that they needed, right?
I don't know that you could put a price tag on that level of marketing. I mean, it's like you get on, the fun thing for me is, when you get home, it's you go get on the message board and you've got time to kind of deal with everybody, or you get on social media and you get to see all the reaction, all your content. And it was just a level of exuberance we just hadn't seen. And I woke up yesterday, there's a little chill in the air, get the sun at your back, dogs out there running around having a good time. And I thought, man, I have not felt this good after a football game since I don't know when. And maybe that goes all the way back to the 2022 Egg Bowl. I mean, it's like State has not had, these fueling type victories really in the last 3 years. And so, the fan base has been through a lot. So it's so nice to see everybody have a chance to celebrate and watching those kids rush the field. And, it does something to you. I mean, Bo, you and I have kind of seen it all and done it all. We've been around this thing for a long time, but, I don't know that, and I wrote about that yesterday, I don't know that anybody in the country needed a night like that more than Mississippi State.
No doubt about it. And again, the fans, alums, and students were incredible. Blew me away. They said 51,000. It felt like more were in the stadium than that, Steve. Did it feel like more to you?
Yeah, I know somebody yesterday told me, hey, can you look into this? I'm like, what am I going to do? Blow it up and count one by one? Not to mention who'd be in the bathroom or concession stand line, But, I don't know how the turnstile total, but I'll tell you, it was electric in there. And that's, you mentioned the students. And, they get in a little bit earlier than everybody else does, and so when I'm kind of walking around up there, you get everything going. And I looked out there and I was like, man, just about all those kids are wearing black and everybody's got a cowbell. And students showed up tonight, and they were directly responsible for a couple of false starts down there on their end. And so I'm just starting to think, man, if we ever have to go to overtime, man, that's where I want to play, man. I want their defense backed up against our students down there, man. It's wild.
Right.
And our students have shown up. And listen, let's be fair about this. The students got a lot of criticism last year for leaving at halftime. But do you blame them?
No.
How many did those guys get to go to last year? There was actually a game in the fourth quarter. I mean, they got to see 2 wins last year, basically against an FCS team and a bad G5 team. There was not a lot to be excited about last year. And I think that's the thing that really is so encouraging to me is when you think about the future, when you think about the future of Mississippi State and season ticket holders and donors, there's a whole bunch of those kids that were in that ball game Saturday night that their feelings about Mississippi State football have been buoyed because of what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds show, brought to you by Mississippi's college town. Starkville, Mississippi was on fire over the weekend. And great restaurants, Two Brothers, Taste Italian Kitchen, Big E's, the list goes. Oh, Luva Wine Bar. I keep forgetting to give Robbie and them a shout out. The food is amazing. The atmosphere is great. Luva Wine Bar on University in Starkville is great. You got 3 more home games in a row, which means you got to pace yourself. All right, Steve, what's going on with Whitson? You said he was their best defensive player, and then he proved it. What's the latest on the injury?
Well, we'll get some type of confirmation today. I mean, there's a lot of things out there. The one thing we feel 100% confident about is he's not playing this week. And I've heard some things that are concerning, but, we're trying to confirm those. But, when it comes to injury, sometimes people can be a little cagey. And, in post-game, I had some people say, yeah, it's probably going to be okay. He walked off under his own power, which I saw that. I put that on Twitter. It's like, just something to watch. And then yesterday I said, well, we got to get an MRI. And I'm like, okay, we'll figure it out. Right. So fingers crossed. I can't say I'm overly optimistic, but we'll try to get some information today from Coach Leb. And I don't know what he'll say, but but the reality of it is State won a big ball game, but there's always a price to pay. I mean, you think about last week. I mean, you lose Blake Steen, for a little bit. Jimothy Lewis is a guy that didn't play at all on Saturday, and it's just football is a very physical game, but I don't know if Mississippi State has the depth to take a lot of attrition, in the trenches, and it's been an interesting couple of weeks to say the least.
Would you say though he was or was emerging as their best player on defense?
It's kind of hard to discount Isaac Smith.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
I would certainly say on the defensive line. I mean, he is the guy that has get off, as they say. I mean, there's just some guys who just have a natural ability to kind of knife through and find a way to get to the quarterback or into the backfield. And I think through 2 weeks, I think a lot of Bulldog fans said, "Hey, this is what we were missing last year." It's a guy with this level of explosiveness and. I think it's fair to say that through 2 games, he was certainly Mississippi State's best defensive lineman.
All right, now you got a chance to go 4-0, right? You and I talked about it, and this was set up to go 4-0. You out recruit everybody in your first 4 games, and it was a fantastic win on Saturday night. I think you should have expected to win. So now you got a chance to go 4-0, and this weekend, what do you see, Steve? I'd like to see Camario Taylor and Cromanhawk get to play at least all of the second half. How do you see it?
You and I had this discussion several years ago, and I can't remember what game it was, but we're like, by the half, I want to be able to just kind of put my feet up and watch the kids play, right? I mean, that's, just like a couple old guys at a family barbecue, right? I mean, that's really what I want to see happen is, give Camario and Luke, maybe, give Blake the first half, let Cromanhawk have the third quarter and Camario the fourth. But yeah, I want to see a lot of young guys get on the field and have a chance to get out there and put some things on tape. But importantly too, just to kind of save some wear and tear on the regulars. I mean, you want to be able to get this game in hand, and they certainly should be able to get this without any issue. But you want to get the dub and then get out of there healthy and get some experience with some of these younger guys. And we've had some discussions about these things as of late, about numbers and statistics, and it's way too early to make any determinations. But we haven't played an FCS team yet. We just played a team that was in the playoff and won the Big 12 title last year. So not all non-conference schedules are aligned equally. And so State, in some respects, kind of gets a break this weekend, and they need it. There'll be some guys they'll sit just to kind of make sure they're healthy for SEC play.
All right. Who was the guy who played left tackle out of nowhere?
Javen James. Yeah, it's so interesting you mentioned that because, we were going through possible scenarios because I was told Sunday of last week that Jimothy may not play and said that he's even having trouble walking. I mean, if the adrenaline carries you through a game, but over the course of the week, they said, well, maybe a game time decision. And I went on my own show Friday and said, hey, I don't expect him to play. And then Saturday, I had somebody tell me, well, he'll give it a go in warm-ups and then we'll see. Javen James is starting. I'm like, Javen James? He didn't even travel, so the miss. He ain't even played. He's going to start left tackle against a Power 4 team, a team that was in the playoff last year. Kid plays every single snap, and at no point did I ever feel like he was a liability on the field. And
unreal.
when you win games like that, you got to have some people, some unsung heroes that just kind of step up out of nowhere. And it's just crazy to think about that. We're going through all these scenarios. Okay, well, you could put Reese at left, or maybe Luke Works there. Never did I think Javen James would be starting left tackle against a playoff team from last year, but he did, and he played really, really well. I mean, I don't know what Pro Football Focus, for what that's worth, graded him out to be, but I just didn't think it was a liability. That's the blindside protector to Blake Shapen, and at no point did I ever think that he couldn't handle it. I thought he did a good job.
All right, Steve Robertson, Gene's Page, 247 Sports on the Out of Bounds show. Yeah, that was unbelievable. It's those guys that are the unsung heroes, so to speak, that allow you to win a game like that. Boy, did Coleman Hutzler need a goal line stand like that, Steve, to get a little bit of mojo and confidence within the fan base?
There was no question about it. And, how many times last year that, when the offense actually was playing pretty well and had some rhythm, they just couldn't get a stop defensively, and so it felt like there was so much pressure put on the offense to have to go score every drive just to give you a chance, and that's just not feasible, But I thought in many respects, maybe this football program under Jeff Levy grew up a little bit
Fair enough.
Saturday night. And, that's the thing with Lev, too, is, now you don't have the promise, right? Now you got a little production. And I think in some respects, Coleman Hutzler is a guy that, deserved some criticism last year. A lot of it, though, sometimes I would say was maybe unwarranted because, you're sending him out there to a gunfight with a plastic fork, and that's not to be disrespectful to anybody, but he didn't have the depth. He didn't have the horses. And I don't know if they've got the depth and the horses to really make a run at, a big-time bowl game. But it's interesting to see that now that he's got a few more ingredients, that group's playing a lot better.
Yeah. Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds show and the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. Yeah, look, tip of the cap to Levy and Hutzler and the staff, because like you said, they needed it bad. And the players and so on. But one thing we don't need to do is go for it on 4th and 6 on your own 49. That is not something that needs to be taken out of the playbook. Can you make that happen today, Steve?
Well, it's interesting. And I almost felt like a bad guy for even asking, but it's part of my job, right? Because I knew there was fan conversation about that. And then quite frankly, I wanted to know, right? It's like, you just won the big game. It's the first signature win of the Levy era. You really want to go in there with a wet blanket, and I really don't. But I've got a job to do, and I asked him specifically to take us through that sequence, and you could just see he kind of bristled a little bit, not so much at the question, but about what happened. And I went back and watched the game again yesterday, and yeah, it should have been offsides there, but I think that's too much of a gamble at that point, right? When you need an opportunity to put a big one in the bank, you don't want to make it easier on the other team. And I understand the thought process behind it, and I understand the execution, but, you're betting a lot that you're going to get a call. And this is the same linesman that let the tight end from Arizona State line up almost a full yard offsides right in front of him and didn't make a call. And you can go back. I've got a picture that I can send it to you. It's absolutely ridiculous. And so, but you're just asking for a lot. You're gambling a little bit there, and I think, in my estimation, you're punting the football there. You're up a touchdown, and you kind of lose the momentum a little bit. And I get the opportunity to play to win. I absolutely do. But, we can debate it all day. Yes, offside should have been called. Yes, it should have been a free play. But you didn't get the call. And then you had to give the ball back, and what do you know? They're right back in the game.
Look, the numbers show it. Anything over 4th and 3, and you can't do it. It's proven time and time again. But having said that, where would you rank the goal line stand as far as big Mississippi State moments like that? Yeah,
I think the biggest one that we've had in recent years would be the big comeback at Auburn, right?
Okay.
With Andre Leach at Will Rogers. That was, it's an SEC team. You're on the road, and have the greatest comeback in school history. Matter of fact, you had 2 of the greatest comebacks in school history that year. The flip side of it is you should never be that far behind. But as far as recent years go, and like moments at Davis Wade Stadium, and kind of for what it means, the this fan base. And people say all the time, kind of crudely, this, well, our coach died. Well, yeah, our coach died. And there's no book out there to tell you how to navigate through that. And there have been a lot of people that have been highly critical of how Mississippi State handled, the Zach Arnett situation. I like to give people a little bit of grace and think that they do the best they can under the most difficult circumstances. And
Sure.
it's not about where we've been; it's about where we're going. And I think when you think about everything that has happened, you got to give NIL money. You got to be part of this. You got to get a seat license. And we're asking more and more and more of the fans, but yet the on-the-field results were less than what people expected and certainly what they're willing to accept. And so there's been a tremendous amount of trauma, and I don't throw that word around lightly, to this fan base. And then all of a sudden, you go win a game like that in the dramatic fashion in which you did. If State had won that game 42-3, it's been a lot of fun.
Sure.
But I don't know that it's been quite. I think the way this thing happened, the way that it was scripted, and the way that it played out,
No question.
might have actually been better.
No doubt. It's how you win sometimes that a friend of mine said may inject that stuff into the program that's needed. And you believe that you can win a game late, like you said, and come from behind. And it's really difficult with no timeouts and so on to do that. So, and no running game really. Look, it should be a positive day. We went, but the offensive line is going to have to get going as far as run blocking, and they're going to have to get Fluff and Booth going. And I still believe Blake's got to run the football, Steve. If they're going to try to do this thing without Blake running the football, I think it's going to come. And I don't mean doing situational stuff with Crum and Hawk and Camario. Blake's going to have to carry it a little bit. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think at times, he's got to be measured in what he does, for sure, right? He can't just go out there and play. I don't think that he can go play like Sam Levitt did. I mean, Sam Levitt obviously was very frustrated that night, but Sam's a better runner, right? I mean, and all due respect to Blake, and that we talked about that last week. What worried me the most about Arizona State was Levitt's ability to improvise, and you saw that on full display. I mean, he is incredible as a runner, but he's had his two worst games as a quarterback against Mississippi State, which is really weird. I mean, considering with the quality of defense we had last year, they ran for 300,000 yards in that game. But I think you've got to have the threat of the quarterback run with Blake in there, or you're just kind of tipping, right? I mean, you're not really holding people accountable, right? You're not holding that defense to balance when we're going to go bring in Coleman Hawk, and he may run, he may not, but Blake's got to be able to do that, but he's got to be smart in how he does it.
Thanks, Steve. Appreciate it. Steve Robertson on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Mississippi's College Town. They now have direct flights from Dallas-Fort Worth daily, 12 minutes from campus, and 2 from Atlanta daily, all coming into the Golden Triangle. Back in a second.
WRKS Pickens Jackson.
All systems go.
Live from the Whiskey 61 Lounge inside the Bank Plus studio.
This is Out of Order.
Live in the studio. It's the Out of Bounds Show with Low Bounds. Streaming live worldwide on the Out of Bounds radio app. And on your radio at ESPN 105.9. All set? Let's go. The Zone.
Hey, good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show. Mississippi State and Ole Miss and Southern Miss. Southern Miss beat Jackson State. All three with the wins. Two of them are 2-0. Ole Miss 2-0. Already have a conference game under their belt. They won in Bourbon and Horse Country. Go to Lexington Commonwealth Stadium and take care of the Kentucky Wildcats. Ole Miss with the win. Both teams lost to the two teams last year, played about as poorly as you can play, and then this year did what they needed to do to get a couple of Power Four wins over the weekend, and Ole Miss with the conference win, but highly, highly coveted. We're live in the Bank Plus studio, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Dogs win. Rebs win. Some of you are asking about Whitson. I think it's pretty obvious you're not going to get the news that you want here in the next couple hours when Jeff Levy steps up to the podium for his Monday press conference. Hey, a couple of different ways that you can get in touch with us. Let's go ahead and do an out-of-bounds roll call on the Golden Moon Casino text line, 601-885-3776. Are you listening on 105.9 The Zone? Or are you streaming the show? Where are you listening from? And did you storm the field Saturday night in Starkville? 601-885-3776. Out of Bounds roll call brought to you by Superior Foundation. Foundation repairs, Superior Foundation. French drains, Superior Foundation. Driveways, Superior.ms. Bo Bounds, Jackson Meadows with you on a Hail Mary Monday. On a Hail Mary Monday. It wasn't quite a Hail Mary, but it damn sure was close with Blake Shapen and Brennan Thompson connecting, and then you getting an interception to really seal the deal in that game. That's a hell of a way to win a game. You're up all night, then you lose the lead, but you stopped them from scoring a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then you come back and win. I hear Mississippi State fan, Ole Miss does the same thing. Well, we don't ever do that. Most people don't win like that.
No.
I mean, it's rare that anybody wins like that. That's why it's so special. And because it was late at night and Arizona State was coming off a college football playoff and you weren't going against a whole lot of competition because Oklahoma had taken care of Michigan, you got to be the toast of the town on all the big networks for the first time in a while, right? I mean, it's the first time they've talked about you nationally since Leach died.
Yes.
And then you win a big game against a college football playoff team. Whatever they do this year is what they do, but they're coming off double-digit win season. And Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson and Kenny Dillingham had gotten a lot of pub because they did have a magnificent year last year. It's hard to make the college football playoff. Ask Alabama. They didn't last year. Ole Miss didn't last year. LSU didn't. And, South Carolina made a run at it. Didn't quite get there. But what a night in Starkville. Just got another text. This guy says his ears are still ringing. Scott from Philly. The atmosphere Saturday night was unreal. My ears are still ringing. He said, we've got plenty to clean up, but love the fight shown, especially the goal line stand. Yeah, that was unbelievable. You know what you were thinking. You were thinking, oh, hell, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
Hadn't won a game in a big game in a long time. Again, you were down 28-3 at Auburn, right, and you won under Leach. You were down double digits, I think, against Ole Miss in 2022 with Leach, and you won. We ran those numbers. There haven't been that the Mississippi State and Ole Miss game, either one. It hasn't been that many times where one of the teams is down double digits and then comes back to win that game. And you were down by 3 with no timeouts, and you win it. That's why we're calling it a Hail Mary Monday.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it felt like.
Brendan,
he was running wide open, too.
He was. He was running wide open. And that's called play calling, like Steve said. I mean, hey, give Lane does it all the time. He works people, and they're wide open. Levy did that. Wow. And again, you picked up the blitz. Booth, man, he picked up that blitz on the left side. Unbelievable. Give Shapen. And, Shapen's gone through hell. He's been injured 3 times. Last year was a disaster. He was playing pretty well, and he gets knocked out against Florida for the year, I think it was. And he took some shots Saturday and got up, and that's good to see.
Yeah, some he shouldn't have taken.
He held the ball too long sometimes, but, man, one thing he did, he came out, and, I mean, he was on fire early. And that's a credit to him.
Man, some of those, I mean, those throws were great. The wide receiver making that adjustment in the beginning, though.
That was incredible.
That's a very, very, very tough catch. I mean, that is a hard ball to catch.
Brutal. I don't care who you are.
So when you're looking left shoulder and you have to switch, go right.
Yeah, you think, it's coming to the inside.
Basket.
Right?
Man, no.
It's supposed to be on the right hash.
It's an incredible
which is on the inside of where he was.
Right.
And then like you said, he has to adjust and make a beautiful, beautiful catch. Little teardrop in there. But
I'm telling you that the adjusting at that speed is incredibly difficult. I don't know how he got around. He made that catch. I don't know how he found the ball.
It was a hell of a play. You're right. It was. Man. Reminded me of you at Mount St. What's
Mount
that place?
Salis, baby.
I was going to call it something else.
Usually I didn't have anybody around me.
No, Brennan Thompson and Anthony Evans.
Is that who it was?
So Brennan, they both come from programs that are better than your program.
Right.
Brennan Thompson from Oklahoma and Anthony Evans III from Georgia.
Okay.
And usually people who transfer down, it doesn't work. Right? It's usually you catch players and you want them to transfer. You want to get the best player on Southern Miss's team or La Lafayette or North Texas or Troy.
Right.
Okay? Or Tulane, Coastal Carolina. That's the formula that works. But you've hit on these 2 receivers and you may have something.
Yeah. The Evans kid, that's the one that caught the one adjusting, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. He wears number 3 and he looks perfect. In that.
Yeah. Dread swing. I like it.
Yeah, those look great. So he was at Georgia for 2 seasons.
2 seasons.
But,
well,
hey, he's involved. Huge.
Out of Converse, Texas.
Converse, Texas. All right.
Where that's at. Oh, he's a track star, too. There you go figure.
Who?
He is.
Anthony Evans?
Yeah.
Because Brennan Thompson can fly.
That dude's a track star for sure.
Damn. Somebody asked me about Austin Simmons. I don't know. It didn't look good. I said that Kiffin claimed that he could come back in. I don't know if that's, how that would have looked. But, he may get a bunch of treatment and therapy and be ready to go against Arkansas Saturday night. Vaught Hemingway. Ole Miss is going to go back-to-back conference games before Mississippi State even plays one. Tom Luganville with ESPN at 9:30. All right. Yeah, we're going to have to get into the NFL tomorrow. We'll have plenty of time to do that. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. Tom Luganbill will join us next. Mississippi State and Ole Miss, both revenge games, even though people don't really believe in that except Jackson Meadows. But, I mean, he's big on conspiracy theories. He's told me like 7 of them this morning already. It's unbelievable. But, yeah, man, Mississippi State, you deserve it. Long time coming. Who knows what's going to happen the rest of the year. But you don't have dominant teams in the conference. Just all the talent's been spread out, and you went and got some good players. May not have difference makers or great players. I don't know how that's all going to look as this. I mean, maybe one or two of them, emerge as a super duper whatever player. But that's a hell of a win. And I'm receiving text from you as far as, the experience that you had at Davis Wade and the fact that the students rushed the field. That's a big deal. And they should have. And you should let them. And I never thought about it until Bartu started screaming about it years ago. Always storm the field. Because you're not always going to be ascending, or this is not always going to happen. But the experience from those kids, it's going to be a buzz all week. You've been there in Starkville and Oxford, regardless of what sport. When you get a big win, there is something, the energy, the buzz, it's electric. And it was electric Saturday night in Starkville. And running into Arizona State fans was wild because they were blown away. They don't have that kind of atmosphere in the Big 12 for the most part. 95% of the time they don't. In the SEC, we take it for granted because so many of our stadiums come alive when you're playing well or you win a big game. But I'm glad they allowed them to storm the field. Somebody asked if I stormed the field. I did not. But we were raising hell, and we were having fun. There was a lot of high fives and hugging and all that kind of stuff. So, well-deserved. You get in the portal. You got to buy assets. What are assets? Players. You got to do it. Do you like to win? I mean, does it feel good? I hope that you're, giving money to the Bulldog Initiative by yesterday or today at the latest, because you got to go get more players.
So I'm telling you, man.
But these two kids, I mean, Brennan Thompson from Oklahoma and Anthony Evans III from Georgia, I mean, they combined for 245 yards receiving yards. Kudos to Mark Butler and Jeff Levy and others in the portal. It looks like you lost your best defensive player, but he played well today.
He did.
And I hate it for him. And I don't know what other players are hurt in Starkville and Oxford. Obviously, we all saw Austin Simmons go down, and they didn't have to have him come back. So we'll see what happens as the week unfolds with the Rebs. What was your biggest win over the weekend as far as betting? Our sports betting discussion is brought to you by the Golden Moon Casino Sportsbook.
Probably it was either the 3-game parlay or the 4-game teaser. I went light on the 4-game parlay, but what should have been was negated last night because of Derrick Henry fumbling the ball. Just gave the ball away.
You're talking about the Bills scoring 22 points in the fourth quarter?
When Derrick Henry literally just gave the ball away. Just fumbled
really?
the ball, killed me. Probably lost me that because I had Hawaii over in Hawaii.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I mean, look, late night.
Because, I mean, who doesn't take Hawaii in the
And
over?
look, Sam Houston's coming to town. Hawaii all day. Give me first half over, second half over, and totals. And so that helped. And then, we had the over and Bills and Ravens last night, second half. That crushed.
Okay.
And then,
when you score 22 points in the fourth quarter, when one team scores 22 points in the fourth quarter, holy Mary Olzap.
You're going to hit. And they were already 20 before that. So, yeah, they were.
Josh Allen was a demon.
Was. Golly. Yeah. Derrick Henry.
81 points in the NFL. That's crazy.
They, if he doesn't fumble that ball, it's we'd cashed out.
And he's not a fumbler.
No, but he has had some times. There's been some times in his career where he's had fumbles just like this.
Okay.
Bad ones.
I don't even know how old he is.
31.
Is he up there
maybe?
to 31, 32?
If he is, that is incredible.
Adrian Peterson was able to defy the odds for a couple of years
31.
late.
Oh, so is Henry.
And so is Henry.
He's 31. He had like 150 plus last night, at least.
And Dak Prescott had him.
Man, that's crazy.
Done.
Because look, I mean,
for $5 million.
If they had him, just to put something in comparison for you real quick, or just show you this. Derrick Henry's averaging 6.2 yards per carry. Bryce Young is averaging 5.8 yards per pass. So he's running the ball further than Bryce Young.
Can you imagine if Dak Prescott played like Tua Tagovailoa, Bryce Young, or Kyler Murray?
Drilled. Because Kyler looked terrible over the weekend, too.
I know, and he hadn't been good.
Spencer Rattler almost had one that, golly.
I thought Spencer's throw to the right side of the end zone late in that game was one hell of a throw. And I didn't think his receiver was good enough to go up and get it like you have to in the NFL.
It goes back to what we talked about
I thought it was a pretty throw.
Beautiful.
And the guy was covered. But in the NFL, you're covered. You see, in college, in high school, you run wide open a lot. That's why the NFL is the NFL.
That's right.
Your window is about as big as a salad plate. That's what we're dealing with. So you think of a salad plate while you're at Kessler Prime or Taste Italian Kitchen or McBee's. That's what you're looking at. Can you imagine if Dak Prescott played like Tua Tagovailoa, Bryce Young, or Kyler Murray?
No.
I mean, people would be losing their minds. But because they're from Blue Bloods and they're first-round picks,
that's right.
I keep hearing this. Well, they may develop it. I mean, dude, you are what you are.
Point blank.
These guys have been in the league for a while, even Bryce Young.
Yeah, he's been in way too long.
But Tua and Kyler have been in for several years.
They had done well.
So, I don't know. But there was some other quarterback play in the league outside of that was good yesterday.
Yeah.
What about your boy Aaron Rodgers?
Hey, big time W. He needed it, and they wanted it.
And he threw the Jets under the bus.
Golly.
So he goes back and he beats the Jets. And he had a nice game.
He did.
Good game.
He was okay.
And
but the newcomer of the game wasn't even Rodgers. It was Jalen Ramsey, who sealed the game shut on that fourth down whenever they were throwing a little swing pass, and he drilled the running back.
Okay.
And that's what clinched the game for him, because the ball popped out in the turnover on downs, and they needed it out.
Well, there's our NFL update.
God, Rattler.
What, dude?
Hey,
you've got more problems than Spencer Rattler.
But you got to catch the ball. If the ball hits 10 fingers and 2 palms,
that's what I'm saying.
Catch the ball.
I don't think they did him any favors either.
Oh, no.
We like to only blame the quarterback, but you are throwing it into a window the size of a salad plate in the NFL. Yeah. That's it. People are covered. It's a whole different ball game than Fridays and Saturdays. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Tom Luganville, ESPN, coming up next. Hail Mary Monday, right here on the Out of Bounds Show, driven by Fowler GMC, Pearl Brandon. Awesome selection of pre-owned and new GMC Sierra trucks and GMC Yukons. FowlerGMC.com. That's FOWLER. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We welcome in Tom Luganbill on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, national college football analyst with ESPN. Lugs, did you get to see Bill Belichick's girlfriend Saturday?
There was not a Jordan sighting that I noticed, but I wasn't going around looking either.
Okay. Well, I knew you called the game. And so I didn't know if you had a sighting there. All right. How about you join us all throughout the year, and so you know what this Mississippi State football program's been through since Mike Leach died. How about them Bulldogs and the way they won on Saturday night against Dillingham, Sam Leavitt, and Arizona State, Luke's?
I'll tell you, I have not seen anybody defend Sam Leavitt as well as that team did. I mean, you hold Sam Leavitt to 10 of 22 for what, 80-something yards? I was really, really impressed with the approach. I thought they were more physical. Obviously, the environment distinctly helped them. You could tell that Arizona State was impacted by it. You know, I tell people all the time, and you know this, you're there all the time, but, like, I've broadcasted games in just about every big major stadium there is in this country, and that sound does not leave your ears until Tuesday. Okay? And you can sit there and put videos out on the internet and have GAs walking around ringing cowboy bells or Christmas bells or whatever the heck it is. There is no way you were simulating what that environment was. And then I think the other thing that I took away from it was Arizona State was so aggressive. And sometimes when you live by pressure, you die by pressure. And you're willing to take the good and the bad. You're willing to say, okay, you know, we're going to take a risk here. If we get home, we're going to be the winner. If we don't, we're going to be potentially exposed. And that's exactly what happened late in that game.
Yeah. Yeah, they sold out. And Brennan Thompson was wide open. The dude can fly. You know about him from Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, they looked sharp. They looked well coached. They looked well prepared. And I said this to you, you know, going into last season when we would talk about Blake Shapen. You know, Blake Shapen's a good player, but he's got to stay healthy, right? When he's played well. Staying on the field has been the biggest challenge for him, but looks like they've got something that they can build around there.
Yeah, he made some big-time throws, Luke's, on Saturday night. And it is good to see him healthy. When he played at Baylor, he was good. He was pretty good last year until Florida, you know, he got knocked out. Man, he came out of the gate on fire. And they were able to get up 17-0. Then Arizona State dominated the second half until the end there. But you've called games on that field, on the field, since they bowled in the stadium. And you mentioned it last week before you got off the air. And Leavitt and Dillingham were affected throughout the evening as far as communication and trying to get what they wanted to get done. And don't you started at quarterback at Georgia Tech. That wears on you as the game goes on, doesn't it, Luke?
Well, not only does it wear on you, it wears on you when you don't have momentum.
Right.
There's nothing to keep everything quiet, right? And if you get backed up in that closed end, you know, and they start getting going, I think that's the thing. Because of the early jump out, it created something that never went away. Mm-hmm. And that was hard for Arizona State to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't walk in those stadiums for the most part 95% of the time in the Big 12, or hell, the Pac-12 before that. So, yeah, it was a big win for Levy. You know, Lugs, you've watched so many guys, and whether they make it or don't make it, you talk about the turning point. I've always thought you have to have a win like this in your first two seasons. And who knows what's going to play out, but this could inject the confidence and the belief in a team that they can finally win, and it's the first time since Leach's last season.
Well, I think that's the thing is it reinforces whatever buy-in Jeff Levy and the staff are asking for,
Yes.
right? Because you see some fruits of the labor. You see a team have what they want and go out and execute it, and then you see results. And so now you're like, okay, I see this now. Or if you got guys that have been pushing back or, have been fighting it, you're like, okay, now I'm kind of getting the hang of this thing now. So I do think that is important. I think that it matters. But I was just impressed with their urgency. They came out swinging right out of the gate, and that stuff can carry, man. It can carry for a long time.
And now they got Alcorn State, Northern Illinois, so it's kind of teed up until they get Tennessee in 3 weeks at home. Let's go to
now what you got to do. Now what you got to do too, Bo, is you got to not screw it up.
Right.
Now you have to go out and do what Auburn did to Ball State, do what Alabama did to Louisiana Monroe. You can't have a setback because of how you view an opponent.
Right. No, I agree. I thought Levy had a great quote. We have to learn from winning, not just losing.
Yes, correct. There's lots of, everybody talks about dealing with adversity, but dealing with expectations because you've played well can be every bit as challenging.
Yeah, because everybody on campus all week's going to tell them they're awesome. And that's why I thought Levy nailed it with, hey, we've got to learn from winning. And I thought, damn, I like that. You know that from playing. I think it's easier to get on the practice field in the film room after you lost and dial in, but after you win, can you learn what where you need to improve and so on. Tom Luganbill on the Out of Bounds show. All right, Ole Miss. They go on the road. They get a conference win, and they did what they needed to do against Kentucky, which Kentucky's just, for whatever reason, been a problem for them as of late, and had a bunch of close games. So I was impressed with them. A young team, a younger team than, last year they were a veteran-laden team. Young team, go on the road. They win at Kentucky. What's your takeaway there?
Well, they win and didn't play well. I think that's the thing, is you found a way to win. Now, I actually think Kentucky's improved. And to be honest with you, if Kentucky had any quarterback play, Ole Miss probably wouldn't have won that game. And so I thought it was a good moment for a young quarterback to be on the road as a starter, have things not go well, and see what he does. All right, because that first half for Ole Miss was not pretty. And the quarterback, and give Kentucky some credit, they had some really nice presser packages. They were in his face. And when that happens sometimes, is the guy either going to go in the tank or is he going to be able to recover from it? And until you get him in that moment, you may think you know what he's going to do, but you really don't know what he's going to do. And so I think the way Ole Miss won that game is a building block for them.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's right. They didn't play well, but it's a conference game on the road against a team that's good on defense. And they won the game, so that's huge. Do you think Ole Miss and Arkansas? We don't know what's happening with Austin Simmons. Lane Kiffin claimed that he could come back in. We don't know if that's. It looked bad, but maybe that's the case. Maybe he actually could have come back in and played at somewhat of a high level. I don't know, but I know it's early in the year. Do you expect Arkansas at Ole Miss to be competitive, or do you think blowout Rebs at home?
No, I do. I think it's going to be very competitive, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be a lot of fireworks in that one.
Okay.
Because right now, that offense for Arkansas, that quarterback, Taven Green, is pretty good.
Yeah, he is.
And, I think, everybody's kind of waiting to see, okay, because there's a lot of talk about Sam Pittman because everybody likes him, right?
Right.
And everybody wants him to succeed. And they look like they're, making progress, but they haven't been able to take that next step. And now they haven't played anybody, but they're 2-0. And they look good. They look like they're playing well. They look like they're improved. I expect that to actually be a really good game.
Okay. That's Vaught Hemingway, Saturday night, Arkansas at Ole Miss. Last year we didn't have – no, I want to go to Oklahoma first, and then we'll go overall. All right. So give the Sooners credit. Venables is one that they haven't been real happy with either. And they did what they needed to do. John Mateer can flat out play. You already knew that. So talk about their good win. I know Michigan's not good on offense, but their defensive coordinator's hell, and they still got some players. What was your takeaway from Oklahoma winning on Saturday night?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. John Mateer and Ben Arbuckle have been two fantastic additions, two fantastic hires by Brent Venables. They've changed the tone of the offense. That guy is so exciting and so dynamic and can make so many plays. But I will say this, Oklahoma still has not corrected their inability to run the football when the quarterback's not involved. And, you know, that's been something the last 2 to 3 years that have really plagued them. They haven't been great in the offensive line, although I do think that they are better. But take John Mateer away, and Oklahoma doesn't run the football very well. And so I think that's going to have to get corrected a little bit because you're going to want to protect your quarterback to some degree too. But he is so exciting, and they had advantages. They're playing at home against a first-year true freshman quarterback. You knew that kid was going to make some mistakes, and as freshman quarterbacks do, no matter how talented he is, I kind of felt like Michigan protected him a little bit, got a little conservative. But Oklahoma's improved, man. They're better, but I got to see them be able to run the football if, for whatever reason, John Mateer is not there to create a lot of those exciting plays.
Yeah, Mateer led him in rushing by 50 yards, and that's not a good thing. No. I agree. I mean,
I just don't think it's sustainable every single week.
Right. You know, we're seeing that, I think, because of the portal and offensive linemen transferring in after spring ball, Lugs. And I'd like for you to weigh in on this as someone who played quarterback. But it's almost like coaching staffs have to do this. They have to use the first 2 to 3 games of the season to try to get the chemistry right on the offensive line because people are adding people in June and July, right?
Well, there's no question. In fact, I would actually say it's more difficult than it's ever been before. I mean, it used to be difficult when, let's just say under the old days, and you've got, you know, your roster returns every year outside of the guys you lose and then the freshmen you bring in. And let's just say you're a team that loses 3 starters in the offensive line, and now you've got 3 new starters in the offensive line, but the 3 new starters that they've all been there. They've been within the program, and that still takes time. Now imagine doing what you're outlining, and you're trying to go out there and find the right mentality, the right personality, the right athleticism, the right strength, all of the different things you need, and then you bring them all in from a variety of different places, and that's the one position group that is the most difficult to get to gel in a short period of time. So now it's even more magnified how difficult it is to do.
Tom Luganbill with ESPN on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. How were you surprised? So I thought Florida had turned the corner last year. They win their last 5 games. Lagway wasn't even healthy a lot of the times, but man, he was still good, and you could just tell. I just thought superstar, love all his moxie and mettle and grit. And Napier hung in there and proved that all those G5 games meant something at Lafayette. And then they lose to – and I think they've recruited well, and they jumped in the portal. I was almost shocked. What was your reaction to Florida losing to South Florida, Luke's?
Well, I was shocked too, but I did broadcast the South Florida-Boise game the week before, and I can tell you that was not a fluke. South Florida's got guys. And to be honest with you, had Byron Brown not gotten injured last year, they probably would have been a 9 or 10-win team a year ago. Nevertheless, still went bowling, so it tells you how good the roster was around, you know, them playing behind a backup quarterback. So I was surprised because when a game like the Boise State-South Florida game happens, how does that not get your attention if you're Florida? How does that not all of a sudden get your hackle up and you're going, oh boy, we better buckle our chin strap this week? As opposed, because Florida played that game like Boise State had beat South Florida by 3 touchdowns. Right? And so to me, like, I'm looking at that and I'm going, guys, first of all, you weren't prepared. If that's going to be your mindset, the way you're going into that game. And then I think the thing that stood out the most to me is when you let a talented team linger and kind of hang around. I don't care if you're at home, if you're away, if you're in a parking lot. that spells doom in many instances. And where it really manifested itself was the lack of ingenuity, creativity in the red zone for Florida on offense. They moved the ball. It's not like, DJ Lagway had a bad day. It's not like he statistically went, oh my God, boy, he just was in the tank today. But when they got into the red area on offense, I couldn't believe the approach that they took. They didn't spread them out. They didn't try to create space. It was a weird approach. But that South Florida team now, they've got athletes. They did a really good job in the portal, and the quarterback is a handful.
Okay. All right, I want to go to some of the scores over the weekend. So before the transfer portal, we're used to Georgia and Texas and LSU winning these games by 40 to 60 points. What am I supposed to do with LSU? And maybe they're just sleepwalking through this game, whatever. But I just want your thoughts on it. LSU beats La Tech 23-7. Georgia usually scores 50 points by halftime against an Austin Peay. They scored 28 total. Texas, it looked like they were still sleepwalking coming off of a Ohio State win. They win 38-7. What do I do with that? Nothing, or what's your takeaway on that, Luke?
I think that every team is subject to playing down to the level of competition when they know that they are athletically superior. It's almost human nature. And that's why you have to have an appreciation for what Auburn did, for what Alabama did. Mm-hmm. We talked about, Mississippi State now taking that next step. Go out and beat the doors off of these next two opponents, right? Don't play down to the level of competition. Don't breathe. Don't take a breath. Just go. We see it every year. I don't know if it defines a team. We could be having this conversation today, and 3-4 weeks from now, somebody will beat a G5 team and maybe they don't look good, and then they get into the conference slate and they're rolling.
Sure.
I just don't know if it's something that is problematic unless you start seeing a trend. Like, to me, I would have been much more concerned about Alabama today than I was coming off of the Florida State game had they gone out and gone through the motions.
Okay.
Way more concerned, because now it would have been like, okay, well, clearly they haven't made progress, and what happened versus Florida State was real, and maybe Florida State's really good, but Alabama's not pissed off, right? And I thought that was impressive by Alabama, regardless of the opponent. But I would have been really worried if they hadn't done that.
How concerned should Clemson be after their game against Troy? And are we to the point now where we just know that Cade Klubnik is not going to be special, even though I guess the staff and people thought he would be?
Not concerned at all on defense, but very concerned on offense. This looks like 2023 Clemson. And I fear a little bit that this team may have really bought into the off-season hype. The attaboys, the pats on the back. Hey, listen, you've got all of these wideouts now. We haven't had them here in 5-6 years, but now we've got 3 or 4 of them, and the offensive line's all back. And, Cade Klubnik made a huge leap last year, which he did. He deserves credit for that. But the Cade Klubnik that's playing right now is not the 2024 Cade Klubnik. He's reverting back to indecisiveness, a lack of anticipation, holding onto the ball too long, not just cutting it loose and letting it rip. And I don't know what's going on, but they better buckle up, because guess who they got this week?
Georgia Tech?
Yep.
Brent, dude, that guy knows how to coach.
Yep.
Good. And Haynes King, if you let him, he will beat you. And it'll look like he's got 2 torn ACLs and everything else. And then in the fourth quarter, Lugs, as you know, with 4 minutes left, he'll just drive it down the field and win. They got to be careful, man.
They got to be careful, and it's on the road. I mean, I would be very, very concerned. I mean, Clemson better show up ready to play, because Georgia Tech's going to be ready to play.
All right, well, let's do some rapid fire with Lugs, because we got a hell of a slate this weekend. This is going to be fun. So he mentioned, he touched on Ole Miss and Arkansas for a second. That could be a hell of a game. I know Ole Miss blew their doors off last year, but it's a different year. And he mentioned Clemson and Georgia Tech. Let's go with the Georgia Bulldogs at Tennessee, Luke's? Who do you like and why?
Well, right now I like Tennessee because I think Tennessee's playing better football. I don't know why Georgia seems to be on cruise control. That score, by the way, was not indicative of how that game was played. I mean, I think the final's 28-6, but that's not what that was throughout the course of the game. And so I'd be very concerned if I was a Georgia fan. And listen, Joey Aguilar, I think we would all agree, is an upgrade at quarterback for Tennessee.
Yeah.
And he's playing good football. So I would lean towards the Vols here because I don't like how Georgia has played in the first 2 weeks.
Okay, fair enough. Tom Luganbill on the Out of Bounds Show hanging out with us. Texas A&M at Notre Dame, Luke's.
Ooh, that might be the best game of the weekend. Nobody's talking about A&M. They're playing well. You know, I was sitting there thinking because, you know, we talk about all these quarterbacks and nobody talks about Marcel Reed. And to me, Marcel Reed is the SEC version of Kevin Jennings at SMU.
Hello.
That's who he is. And he just finds a way to move the chains. He just finds a way to make plays. He can throw the ball from all kinds of angles. He can run it if you need him to. I think that now, I'll say this. They're going on the road, right? And they're playing a team. I think that C.J. Carr at Notre Dame is going to be special.
Okay.
I think he's going to be really good. So if he continues to make improvement, Notre Dame is really, really good, and A&M is going to have to deal with that road environment.
I think we have time for at least one more. Florida at LSU. LSU laying 9.5.
Well, they're laying 9.5, but they didn't play great this past weekend. But they're laying 9.5 because of the egg that Florida laid.
Yep.
I would be surprised if Florida shows up and plays poorly. I really would.
I agree.
And Brian Kelly cannot allow his team to fall into that trap. It's going to be a great game, athlete for athlete. I think it's going to be a really well-matched game. Anytime you're playing at that place, though, I mean, it is so difficult to get out of there with a win. But I think Florida will respond well, but I probably will lean towards LSU.
Rapid fire with Tom Luganbill. We got 30 seconds time for one more. Vanderbilt at South Carolina, Luke's.
Oh, you know, Lenore Sellers has not played as consistently well as I thought that he would through 2 weeks. That surprised me a little bit, but I don't think Vanderbilt's talented enough to beat him.
Okay. Two playmakers at quarterback, Sellers and Diego. Could be some fireworks at Williams-Brice on Saturday night. Tom Luganbill, you're the best. Thanks, buddy.
All right, man. See you.
National College Football Analyst with ESPN. If you missed any of the show, you can find it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Search Out of Bounds with Bo Bounds. And we ran about an hour and a half on YouTube. Also, search Out of Bounds Sports. Our YouTube channel, search Out of Bounds Sports. Lunch today brought to you by McBee's on Lake Harbor in Ridgeland. And as part of it being 9/11 week, first responder appreciation, their blue plates are $9.11 all week at McBee's on Lake Harbor. See ya.